Tram Noyet was speechless. It felt like time and space were frozen after Vu Noyet kept answering. After a while, he could tell what happened. She coldly counted this as the second question. I glanced over to see him clenching his hand, but it was still shaking. There was definitely something there. It's okay to tell someone, but you have to answer me first. Remember when I was at Phong Van Dai? As soon as he heard the name Han Not Tu, he didn't hesitate and stared at her. At that time, Vu Noyet wanted to kill him. But she immediately changed after seeing his clever competition strategy. You spent so much effort to approach me like that just to spy on information about your team. I saw in the end, what is Han Not Tu's? That's my second brother Vu Noyet. Before he finished speaking, he jumped in to answer. Avoid letting her make any nonsense inferences. Memories of more than 10 years ago at the orphanage seemed to rush back into his mind. That day, the children were playing carefree in the playground like any other day in a hidden corner of the orphanage. There were 3 kids who were bursting out laughing with glee. In the hand of the kid with the big horsefly, he was holding a pink rabbit, and the guy with the bald head next to him was holding a book that, at a glance, he knew what to eat. Look at these guys' awkward looks. If you're good, come here and get this, he laughed proudly. Now he's also jumping up in front of the 2 boys who are being cornered by them into a dead end. That was Tram Noyet and Rafi when they were children. Both of them were covered in injuries, their clothes were tattered, they bet they had just been beaten up by the other 3 kids. But Tram Noyet still stood up strongly to protect Rafi, who was crying, "Hoo guys, please give me back Mr. Rabbit. That's the only thing my mother left for me." Hearing that, the pig-nosed guy immediately repeated his words in his squeaky voice. The bald guy also threw the book away, looking down on him for just being a 4-eyed book guy who still wants to be playing the role of the cauliflower-headed hero holding the heads of those 2 skinny guys. His hand stretched the rabbit to the sides, smirking disdainfully. This is my family's orphanage. You guys were all picked up by my mother at the corner of the street. When it comes to raising you, you're trash that no one wants, so you're thrown away like that. His mouth couldn't close his smile. Your things are also mine, he said as he roughly tore the teddy bear's arms. I do whatever I like with my toys and it's not your turn to wake up. Seeing Mr. Rabbit being treated cruelly, the concubine cried bitterly and frantically wanted to jump up, but was beheaded. Noyet used one hand to stop the other hand, which was thinly hidden in her coat. Looking for something. A few seconds later, he pulled out a sharp object, preparing to skewer those bastards to avenge his brother. At that moment, a boy holding a broom from behind rushed straight towards the 3 insolent boys. But these idiots were still busy with the moon beheading, so they didn't even know. Only heard a crunching sound from the ice. The other boy hit the broom directly on the gadfly's head, causing it to scream in pain. After that, all 3 bullies were beaten up by the other boy. Tonight, with a few quick cuts, we can get a few bowls of eel soup after giving them to the others. After being beaten, the boy finally stopped and kissed him. Go away once. They quickly put their cows' tails down and ran to the smoke, afraid of peeing their pants, and still threatened to tell their mother. With this visible save, he immediately had fanboys excitedly praising him for being so handsome. Don't understand why the boy in the blue shirt helped them reach out to restrain the blonde boy first. When he wanted to jump over there, his face was tense. He let down his guard and asked who he was. Han Not Tu happily answered, holding a broom in one hand and holding Rafi's stuffed rabbit in the other, then smiled brightly and said that as long as you always keep a smile on your lips, no matter how difficult the story is, it will pass. From now on, I will order coffee for the 2 of you, whoever dares to lie. If you just beat and arrest me, Han Not Tu, you'll be fine. That's the person I love the most in the world. I put my hand up to find the person who choked and said that every time I remember those childhood days, I get extremely emotional. Seeing his pitiful appearance, Vu Noyet suddenly remembered that disciple. He's a tough guy who's always smiling and cheerful. But he also has a very strange personality when he only asks her for normal equipment all the time. She still remembers Han Not Tu's handsome face lighting up when talking about his 2 younger siblings. He said that the big brother in the family must give his younger brother the best. And I'm fine either way. Infinite purgatory. Vu Noyet suddenly said a sentence that had no beginning or ending. making Noyet not understand what the hell was going on. Her eyes suddenly turned cold as she told him about that fateful day. That was the day Han Not Tu defeated the ancient Night King and successfully defended his throne as Phong Van King 10 times in a row, becoming an unstoppable legend at Phong Van Dai. As usual, he entered the Phong Van tribulation. That was also the last time I saw my disciple. Because Han Not Tu did not return. It's been 4 hours since the wind and cloud tribulation ended, but that kid still hasn't come out, even though normally when this activity ends, he forces contestant Song to return. Vu Noyet has been investigating everywhere for a very long time and finally heard that the last place he even smiled was Infinite Hell. Hearing that, Tram Noyet's eyes lit up. If she knew her location, she could. I couldn't wait for him to finish his sentence before Vu Noyet sighed and replied that I can't send Tong to that place. Because that world has been blocked by an unknown force, even if she possesses powerful magic, she cannot overcome it. He was so excited to hear it, but Cham Noyet still did not give up her determination to take advantage of those clues to find her second brother by summoning Susan. That's great, it's true, if you don't know anything, just ask the system and make sure he orders it to look up all the documents related to Infinite Purgatory. Even if it's fake news or tabloid news, it must be synthesized. Susan immediately accessed the system, but for some reason the screen kept lagging and warning about data errors that kept appearing. Sumai immediately notified Noyet, thinking the owner would get angry. But he calmly told me I wanted to look up this Susan database. You don't have this privilege. He still maintains a strong mentality. No matter what he does, he has a backup plan. You can switch to the manual input interface, Master. Why don't you keep the key? Vu Noyet stood to the side and saw him. He kept muttering to himself. His legs were spinning wildly, thinking that this guy was so shocked that he was so crazy that Noyet had no emotions on the outside but inside he was extremely chaotic. He tried to calm himself down. He must definitely find information about Infinite Purgatory, the answer to his brother's mysterious disappearance must be there through the input request system. He gently typed in the numbers 1208. Had accessed the database, a series of zeros suddenly covered him like a matrix. The system also pops up continuously to notify you of getting the code and endless purgatory. Bewildered surprise, what code is this? I still don't understand what's going on in my head. The system has issued a red code warning of illegal intrusion. Forcing the player to log out, he worriedly looked around. He was surrounded by a series of red-hearted warnings. He hadn't done anything yet, so why was he being logged out so carelessly? Right after that, the system starts rewriting the source code, kicking the guy out of the matrix of numbers. Tram Noyet looked bewilderedly at that thing disappearing into nothingness, still unable to believe that he had been logged out so easily. Vu Noyet, although I don't understand what the hell is wrong with him, will this guy ever hear me covering him? She's gorgeous, that's all I know. If you don't believe me, go check it out yourself. Now Cha Noyet has calmed down and seems to have to get there to be able to clarify everything. Vu Noyet, can I bother you with one more thing? He has to ask for help from this lady even though he can't. I'm so tired. It's the third question. Vu Noyet answered in a cold voice but didn't object any further, so he got to the point right away. How to get to the other world, Master? Susan knows this question, Tin Lin. Excitedly, he spoke up again and told me again, you know, keeping silent all this time has made our male lead very depressed. Susan then went on to talk about how to enter the other world, which is divided into two places, the player's world and the boss world. These two places are completely independent and not connected to each other, but there is still a way. To circumvent that rule, he used the Purgatory Invitation Achla he received at the beginning at the Wind and Cloud Kulpa activity. So how do I get to the other world? Vu Noyet has tried to get there, she must know how. But she only said the only way is to go into the Phong Van life. Many normal players have a time limit. Time. At the end of the Force tradition, only his brother did not. That's it. Looking at the restless guy, the Moon Girl frowned unhappily. He was too impatient to come. Han Not Tu, who had already evolved twice in blood, still couldn't find his way. When someone leaves, how can they return? Look at this new appearance, look at the fight, but still just a newborn baby in this world. Seeing that this aunt was right, Cham Noyet fell into deep contemplation for a while and couldn't help but keep looking for a smile but couldn't find it, but suddenly Susan spoke up and said, "Master, I have a way to bring you back to the world." The player looked at the spirit, seemingly sure enough. Noyet looked up and asked what was going on. He saw it flapping its small wings on its back, saying, "Just follow and you'll know." Vu Noyet didn't see the spirit talking to him. Noyet saw him suddenly turn around, so she asked, "Where are you going?" Wanting to chase after the meat, so Noyet simply said that she knows how to get to the player world. This term Vu Noyet has never seen before. Listened and asked curiously. Just what he explained was the place she called the whole afterlife. The place where Vu Noyet had Chao Kuang's magic couldn't go, but he confidently said he had a way and she let him go. In my heart, I feel like there are still many things I don't know about returning Noyet, so I'll just stay here and wait for his good news. Somewhere in the distance, the forest suddenly heard the explosion of something like a bomb. Burned down the monsters that looked like mosquitoes and turned into ghosts, causing them to burn out. Rafi just reached level 23 with the name Baovim Mage watching his hand create a fireball. Tik Tri really liked it because he didn't expect this group to be killed so simply. Is there any stronger monster? Just rush them all in here, I'll continue. Which monster can't see the girls running to Rafi in confusion? Dude, you look so handsome. You're so strong. You're like an ostrich. The best feeling is when he solves the problem and the girls admire him and lift up their faces in excitement, wanting to smile big. The feeling of being an idol is so enjoyable. I restrain my eyes and keep looking at the mountains and hills. Deep Rafi is right. Ask if the merchant who buys high-priced equipment at the girls mentioned is from this place. They still force a pair of peach grapefruits on Rafi. Dong Tan said yes, that's right, that person is coming to buy at a high price. Very. Rafi's hands were stuck, 3 of you left the forest to fight monsters. Just now, your mouth was smiling as bright as a blooming flower. If you can sell it for money, I'll give you each a new set of equipment. Then there was a buzzing sound in the wings. Thank you, Phi. So, this young man's destiny, whether in real life or in games, is still like a sweet-smelling flower surrounded by men and butterflies. Suddenly, Rafi noticed something suddenly appearing in front of him and stopped. Very quickly, many people came around the 4 of them, forming a circle that didn't look like people with good intentions. Who would surround them like that? Sure enough, in the crowd, there were a few guys who looked like leaders approaching with a smile on their lips. The leader looks like a swordsman, but his face shows that he is not a good person. There are 2 people behind him who are bad and also play evil roles. They often say that they stand here and wait forever, waiting for good prey. Appeared. The girls couldn't even fight, they didn't dare to cough or anything. The 3 hid behind Rafi so he could call out the storm, ready to declare war on the group alone, but right in the middle of performing magic. Strange laughter rang out behind Rafi. The 3 children behind him had finally revealed their original form. What innocent girls! Cam! They each gave Rafi 3 deep slashes on his back, causing him to fall forward in pain. In my heart, I'm wondering why all these artists have not received anything from me and are ready to act like that. I saw Rafi grouping them together in the front rows of the horse, creating a bunch of spectacular effects. Congratulations, big brother, second brother, tricked a fat cow into the banner, too. Only then did Rafi realize that he had been ambushed by this group from the north from the beginning. The other 3 vendors proudly introduced themselves with brand-sounding slogans. The pink-haired girl is a poisonous thorn that stabs people to death. This purple-haired, goblin-like beauty lover operates with the motto of a terrifying conspiracy. The earthquake made the Italians crazy and then this blue hat girl also didn't want anyone else to betray her, so she had to betray someone else. It's not over yet, it's like they're a bunch of demon girls, that's fine. They're all stupid girls, but they call themselves an American group of 3 guys who are so ugly they specialize in playing female characters. The 3 names are respectively affected by profound beauty Zen Beauty Min. Don't you think that America visits Zen customs to have the right set of words? Rafi is mad, people can't forgive, money is fleeting, it doesn't matter if you cheat, but you dare to cheat on Rafi's sincerity, didn't you kiss? Give each of you one, otherwise he would be so frustrated that he would die. Seeing the lonely Rafi standing up and kicking this northerner, the crowd was extremely calm and about to attack. The prey not obeying is the moment that makes them the most unhappy. Then he used force to silence the people. The two juniors, one green with missiles, the other with one hand swirling something like electricity, roared towards Rafi. Rafi already has the inflammation in his hand, no matter what he says, he can roll around for a while, increasing it by 23 times. It's not average. He opened his arms and gave each man a blow to his stomach, wanting to spit out his entire breakfast. Just as he was about to throw Bay and them out, another person who liked to play gorilla appeared behind him and ran up. Rafi busied himself with another fire, creating a huge stream of fire that passed through the figure behind, causing the intense smoke that was holding him back. Right at Rafi's head, a green thing appeared, coming at extremely fast speed. His eyes glanced over to look for a way to wink at a dangerous place, but he couldn't avoid him. Rafi ate that arrow into his arm and saw its power splashing on his fire flame. It's an American who meditated from afar to cover his accomplices and fired a shot with very good damage at first, seducing the Rafi, but they didn't show their strength. Now it's their turn to eat. Even this pink-haired mother jumped out with her hands full of magic, her mouth squinting and calling for Rafi. Wait a minute, I'm coming to save you. Please go away for your father. The family concubine's fiery blast directly confronted the American's purple spark. The two blasts of power fought fiercely, sending the two people flying in opposite directions. Rafi stepped back with a gasp. Sweeping monsters on the previous map had used up all his energy, and dealing with 6 monsters here alone made him visibly tired. Those guys pretending to be girls know he's about to get addicted and keep teasing me why I'm so weak that I've only come out in 2 minutes or something. Can't we fight longer? I forgot you gave us all the mana recovery medicine. I didn't get it anymore, but now they're fighting Rafi enough to wear down his strength, so he confidently waved his hand forward to make a condition. You obediently hand over the equipment you picked up at the time limit here, we'll spare you. Look, this place is all surrounded and ice has begun, only these 6 guys know how to fight, they're bandits. Professional with a lot of manpower will definitely not let Rafi escape. He let out a breath as if he had decided that if he handed over the equipment to us, he could also let the Rafi leave, but his personality was not the type to simply submit like that. So hold up 2 fingers and curse green beans and pennywort, you motherfucker. Already cursed the Autumn Medley remix collection of the most profound and spicy curse songs. The cursing was so loud that it disturbed the forest and the birds couldn't hear it and took off, so how could the people in the north endure it? I've never seen the hot-blooded leader jump up with a sword in his hand, and at this point, the fight is all there is to it. Rafi frowned and apologized to my brother who was in a faraway place. I'm not someone who knows how to manage my own money. This group was stabbed to death and lost all their experience points, but Rafi will not surrender to them because of that. His eyes were focused on the leader, so he didn't notice when there was a dark red figure behind him. That person flipped over and left a clean X-shaped mark on the leader's body. Landing comfortably and simply, that person walked out the back with hateful red eyes that were the same color as the pattern on the back of his shirt, muttering cursing at those damn money-stealing crossdressers. Not even one person can escape from here. Who's like that to me? Why doesn't it look familiar at all? Rafi was stunned when he saw the appearance of the person who had just saved him. It looked like he was his second brother, right? He hesitantly asked and saw the account name Tram Noyet appear to make sure this was his nagging brother. Below level 23 of Tram Noyet, there was also a line showing the status of the human race, but when will it appear? It's fun if your brother shows up at the right time with the appearance of his species. He turned back to his younger brother with an unhappy voice and asked why I've only been away for a little while and you look so devastated. Since you asked, I'll punish you to the end. Rafi slid down and hugged his leg without a hole, crying, oh brother, it's these guys not only stole my equipment, they also lied to me about my pure and sincere feelings. Please, demand justice for me. I'm going to behead the moon over my brother's identity. I eat it all the time. I'm stuck with spider goblins and say why I'm Tang Tang and I keep getting eaten. The 3 boys dressed as girls, looking at the scene of going out, hugging people's legs, whispering to each other. They have accomplices and are also older brothers that they are proud to talk about. If so, they must have more money than their poor brother, right? The whole group nodded, feeling that this detail was the most important and convincing. Then they thought about how rich they would be in this scene and laughed hi. My Twee pointed at his two brothers' faces and shouted, "Brothers, please reveal yourself. When you see something is about to happen, turn around and tell him. You can rest assured to fight with me covering your back." That sounds so reassuring. But it seems like you don't have rhymes, Uncle. Took's mysterious trio hasn't called 500 brothers yet, but no one appears suddenly. Rafi's hometown doesn't understand what's going on. Everyone has disappeared. Sinking in that nothingness, one lay down, the other sat, and the other stood in the middle of a tree after receiving several slashes. Blue lines appear on the body, indicating that the player is about to log out and is killed. At this point, the male trio leans back and looks around. I discovered that no one else could yawn besides me. They confusedly asked since when. Why? Suddenly, a black shadow jumped out from nowhere and scared all three guys. They almost lost 6 testicles. It's Rafi who glided up behind whispering like a couple of lovers, but actually he was asking just now. You guys just said stand guard and don't let me log in again to rob things, right? America relieved her stupidity and immediately stammered and said England, I didn't understand what I said just now, just joking to keep the atmosphere light, but don't get angry. Hey, have fun. Hey, you like to pretend to be a girl and want to have fun with me. Won't you come out when you strangled 3 girls at the same time? For the souls of the 3 guys log out of the server right away. And it's so hot he can't help but curse at you. I'm Grandpa Rafi. Above, the gay guys were complaining about returning home after being chased away by the noisy crowd. Below, Rafi was holding his brother's arm, blabbing about how he had been accused by the dying back group and doing bad things. I just remembered that Noyet suddenly appeared at the right time, so he asked me why I came to find you. Is there any progress in finding my eldest brother? Now I only know that the eternal purgatory is the last place the eldest brother will appear. Rafi smiled and praised how fast he worked. The 2 brothers already have a specific goal to aim for. However, Moon-slaying eyes suddenly became gloomy. In this game plan book, there is absolutely no place to forge temporary hellish purgatory. I guess it is a hidden copy of very high and low levels. I have never heard of it and it is not possible. Ability to get there. Rafi is still happy to take on his role no matter what happens. Just say hi and I'll go to work right away. I just heard Noyet say he needs to go to the nearest town to handle the props and equipment. Immediately, Rafi played his mouth from the forest until the 2 reached the nearby town of Na Kai Duk. The bustling people passing by made him feel nostalgic at finally returning to a familiar game place, not in a place full of people. Freaks too. His younger brother just said he doesn't get involved with girls but keeps seeing pretty girls on the side of the road, but now it seems like I've seen you somewhere. Oh yeah, in our wedding photos. Going straight to the place to buy equipment, there were 2 guys carrying a bag of money while cleaning it. Hurry up and leave. They'll play later. What price did the boss pay? It's so cheap. The equipment was sold for a few hundred gold coins. What's the point of paying the martial arts academy? When will we be able to buy purple equipment? The husky with the shirt next to his forehead doesn't even bother to say anything, just tell him to worry about leveling up his equipment, don't even dream about it. Hearing people criticize him for charging so little money, the shop owner ignored it and still delivered and purchased equipment at a transparent price without deceiving young and old men and women. As soon as he saw the young man's appearance, the bald old man called out immediately. If the brave had any equipment to sell, put it all on the table to determine the price. His eyes showed interest when looking at the green thing in the floating box. He didn't expect you to have so many elite and elite equipment. I guess the buyback price of this item is 950,000 gold coins. If you see it, then confirm purchase. Rafi heard the good deal and immediately got excited and wanted his brother to win. This amount of money can be converted into real money nearly 10 million times, but Cham Noyet did not say whether this price was okay or not. Suddenly put his hand in front of the old man and said that his hairstyle was not only fashionable but also handsome. He tilted his head and didn't understand what his brother was planning to do. I saw the shop owner leaning over, holding his hand and beheading Noyet, like a longtime friend, leaning close to his face and asking if it was true, "You really have better taste than others." I saw the elegance and uniqueness of my hair, Noyet. His mouth kept saying yes, but he avoided the old man's eyes and refused to look at him. The system suddenly displays a message congratulating the player on successfully activating the merchant's resurrection key, with the purchasing price increasing by 10%. Rafi looked at him with his mouth wide open. Why did he praise that the hair had been increased by 10% of the purchase price? Because when designing the Easter parade, the programmer added some personal preferences. That programmer is also a confident talker, so he created a character who likes people to compliment his hairstyle. But what? His motto is that if you can't change your hairless head, you can change the world. So Cham Noyet successfully changed the equipment at a higher price than the original, but he gave that Kim currency to his younger brother, who suddenly became a very happy rich man, strutting down the street with his new nickname on his head. Bak Tru's talent attracts the eyes of passers-by with shameful looks on his face. It wasn't until his younger brother asked why the remaining purple equipment wasn't shot that he looked up and said he would sell it but somewhere else. The two brothers went straight to the huge auction house in the middle of the city with a special architecture. Outside, there were many people waiting for the new auction, impatiently waiting for the new auction. The ordinary Rafi tried to tear his shirt to get the money. This time, when Noyet was beheaded, he immediately looked at the scale of this place, two country guys new to the city. Now, if any of the celebrities appear here to interview the auctioneer, he will definitely confidently show off his personality on air after his first visit to the auction floor. Unlike Jaffe's happy mood when he first arrived, the crowd that waited from morning to afternoon was irritable and noisy, with all kinds of people from wizards, warriors to different professions wanting to enter the auction floor to wait and want to bring everything. Here's the groin. A dwarf made his way through the crowd and walked in front of two door guards who looked exactly the same except for their pink and yellow hair. This guy, in addition to being short, had his head facing the bowl and very naively put his hands together and politely asked the two brothers if they could let him in for a moment. He had a few hundred Kim coins left in his pocket before he was eligible to enter the auction room, but there is equipment that I really need to buy, so I asked to have it refilled first. The two door guards waved their hands like the two Nuongs in the palace fighting movie Bao Hong. "Baby, Mr. Hong, I'm only following the rules. Let me tell you, if you don't have it, it'll cost you 10,000 Kim to enter the door. What to shop for? If you're poor, go somewhere else, don't come and join the fun." The people standing there were so angry because they had to wait so long. Hearing that, they even spoke loudly and cursed this coconut-nosed guy for so many things. It was a waste of other people's time. The sound of cursing at him rang out. More and more. At first, I smiled and listened, then I couldn't stand it anymore and was about to cry. Suddenly, a gloved hand touched my shoulder. Rafi confidently spoke up and said to this boy coming with us, "Please give way." The blonde-haired guy was about to kick the whole group out to save trouble. The pink-haired guy was more observant than his accomplices, but his sunglasses-wearing eyes fell on the words. The million-silver skin on Rafi's head suddenly saw that this blonde-haired boy had become completely luxurious. Each hand gently bent and pushed the door to reveal the light inside. Respectfully 13 rich men came inside to sit and enjoy themselves. The pink-haired guy still knows how to inform the people inside. Prepare to entertain guests. As soon as 3 people entered, they immediately set foot on the red carpet that stretched the entire length of the auction hall. Inside, there weren't many people standing in the luxurious area. The top of the coconut ridge in clear sloping style smiled and clasped his hands to thank his brothers behind him. If he has the opportunity, he will help in return. The two Rafis behaved like rich people comfortably waving their hands without paying any attention to it. On the shiny tile floor, a pair of long, slender legs wearing lace fishnet stockings suddenly appeared. Their owner was a young girl with glasses and neat hair who looked like a secretary. In her hand was a small red tray and she respectfully greeted Mr. Fai, who sounded sweet, and would like to introduce myself. "My name is Hong Dao, I'm your guide. On that tray is a black card with 3 eye-catching yellow VIP letters along with the name AFI and the number below. Hong Dao introduced with the title of Back True Fortune. The auction floor automatically made a black gold card with these functions. Like entering without queuing, reduced from 10 to 5% withdrawal rate after selling at the auction house. If you want to auction but temporarily don't have money, use this card to borrow money like a credit card. Rafi quickly held up the card and asked the employee if this card had the privilege of taking me into her heart. That day, without understanding anything, I saw him leaning close to me, holding the tray in her hand and asking with sincerity, "Do you believe in love at first sight?" Cham Noyet is exhausted. Damn, this kid's mistake is flirting with people. Whoever I saw just now, I promise I won't have any kind of online love affair. I was about to tell him to shut up, but a white shadow passed by very quickly from behind him. Tram Noyet realized that that person seemed very familiar, so should he grab her and talk to her for a bit? Hong Dao pointed to the pilot and invited her companion to the private room reserved for VIB, which had been prepared in advance. She also added that they did this to ensure the absolute safety and privacy of customers within the floor's capabilities. Auction. Before the auction started, Hong Dao lit up 2 beautiful teacups to briefly introduce the competition rules here. First of all, the epic equipment that Rafi brings will immediately be given priority on the auction floor because epic equipment is also quite popular. It's a hot item right now. Today's auction is expected to last an hour. She showed a miniature image of the Tin Kwong epic level sword. Tran said this is the top weapon among the current weapons, so Hong Dao will help you to move to a higher level auction to sell at a better price. If you have time, you can attend the regular auction here first. Who knows, maybe there will be something interesting that will spark interest. Rafi suddenly leaned across the table, showing a mischievous face, asking Miss Hong Dao if she was coming with us. Seeing her confused face and backing away, he continued to speak in a teasing manner. "There are so many things I don't understand, I need you." Before he finished speaking, Cham Noyet stood up and knocked a bomb on his head, wanting to enlighten his younger brother, holding his big, lumpy head. He told Hong Dao that he would give her a list of things to sell an hour after the end. The auction will come and take the money, no need to go to a higher level floor. She saw Tram Noyet knocking her brother's head so painfully that she didn't dare say anything. A moment later, in the lobby of the auction area, the voice of host Fuang Hai, MC, today's auction started with a large crowd of spectators below. After opening the door with a greeting and a wish that all the audience could buy what they needed, Fuang Tui also wanted everyone to applaud and support the spirit and make the atmosphere more united. The sound of applause echoed in the auction hall, opening the first item on the floor. A golden light was brought to Fuang by the staff member with the very famous name and Hoa Chi Tam. As the name suggests, it looks like a stone with a fiery center surrounding it. This is a gemstone used to inlaid onto the main weapon and has the ability to change the properties of the attack weapon from any other element. Switching to fire for wood-type monsters will increase damage and also have a beautiful fire swinging effect. Who doesn't like it? The starting price of an Hoa's heart was 20,000 gold coins, and immediately a brother dressed as a hunter paid 2,500,000. Was quickly called out by a red-haired witch for 28,000. Then another person dressed like a boxer offered an overwhelming price of 30,000 years to buy it. Fuang's voice rang out in the middle of the hall, repeating the price, making the person who had just shouted smile. He brought with him a total of only 30,500 gold coins. He couldn't let them push up the price, so he wanted to raise the price to get it right from the beginning. This was the first auction item, usually people tend to wait for later things, so I really hope I can buy it. Then Fuang's voice rang out loudly. 30,000 years for the first time, 30,000 years for the second time. The whole hall was silent for the third time. In the row near the front, someone shouted 50,000. The crowd nearby immediately started to stir. Who would pay such a high price to eat the heart of fire? Even though it's really good, that price is way higher than its market price if bought and sold quickly. Only falls to about 28,000. The group of people looked at player number 9. Wanting to see with their own eyes who was so rich, he sat next to a girl who was cooing and asking young Master Han, "Is this wasting too much money?" Calmly say no, I like to make the girl smile with satisfaction. Phuong excitedly pounded the hammer on the table to close an Hoa Tri Tam sale to guest number 9 for a generous price of 50,000 VND. The man with the price of 30,000 years was very angry. Today he came to pay a higher price for this item, but they put their hands on the old man next to him and explained to him that he was young Master Han, the extremely hard-working tycoon. Famous for both money and power, don't compete and bring disaster to your body and eat your mind. You can buy it later. Raffi sat and listened in confusion, spending 50,000 just to buy a fire attribute rock. It's really terrible. He's pregnant. This young Korean guy, at first glance, doesn't seem to be attractive, then he makes it so annoying that he hates him so much. He doesn't say anything to you. I don't care what I buy for my angry younger brother. The second item is the girl's heart. A special outfit used to replace the image of a female maid. It taps into the psychology of the guys, explaining things for a change. Phuong Hai called out the price of 30,000 gold coins, then someone in the stands immediately raised the price to 30,000. 30,000 years ago 48,000. The second item was quickly sold for 4,008. For customer number 66, the successful buyer immediately stood up. Said in a booming voice, "Give it to me, give it here now. I want to try it." Phuong realized that there was no maid next to him and was about to tell him that he could take it home and use it at home. How could I stop customer number 66 in time? He put it on with a cheerful attitude and even shook himself back and forth, leaving it feeling very safe. The people around him, the petrified person, the ass thief, moved away quickly. But Raffi is also a servant to the brother next door. Why does this game give genders so much freedom? Noyet also doesn't know why the publisher included this feature. Who designed it with the secret desire to wear a maid outfit? Phuong Hai hosted the show and told her to be confused for a few seconds and then quickly switched to the next item by clearing her throat. The third item of the epic level called Buon Lang Chien Hoa has the ability to increase the chance of speed up by 2%. Starting price 4,000. As soon as the young man number 9 heard the MC's words, he immediately shouted "Bath," causing the others to whisper and curse this guy. If you want to buy it, you should go slowly. Just shout once, double the price, and then someone else will pay. Shoo, don't say it again. But young Master Han wants it best not to touch it. So customer number 9 got -1 item quickly and without any effort. Phuong doesn't care who buys and sells the faster and the higher the price. He likes the treasures even more. After that, he just needs to give the dry price. Young Master Han shouts twice as much for the snoring thing to light the pomegranate as long as the beauty pleases. Just like that, he will act like he is in a crowded place. Phuong happily announced that young Master Han did not even bother to give the shocking number. He freely set the price as much as possible. While kissing the beautiful girl next to him, he gave out a number as high as 120,000. Gradually, people who came to buy anything got bored and left, most of them. Why don't you go into the lobby and say I want to buy them all at once? I'll auction each item, so whoever has the money can buy it first. Raffi only has 1 million on his body and can't compete with other people, so he frowns and mutters, why would someone do such a thing? I don't know if I want to punch him right away. When it was his brother's turn for equipment to go on the market, there was nothing better than being bought by young Master Han like just now. Phuong Koi soon announced that the last item of today's auction was also considered the most valuable treasure this time. The information board next to the employee shows the epic grade Quang Tin Tran sword, specialized for swordsmen from level 20 and above. Durability, 90 out of 100, attack plus up to 260 points, while attack and speed increase by 40 and 40 respectively. 30 in addition, it also gives the light attribute 5 points of level, giving the bearer a 2% chance of erupting the spirit to create additional magic damage. What makes this weapon most valuable is that it can create a super rare light attack that swordsmen going on main quests at level 25 to 30 are very close to because of such high value. The starting price is 20,000. Because customer number 9 shouted 250,000 as usual, he was definitely frustrated and told himself that no one here would dare to bid with him anymore. People with money are not idiots. This is just a game to joke around with a little money to get a lot of good things. I think the auction will end here. Suddenly Rafi said 300,000 with a smile on his face. The young master turned around and muttered. Turns out there was a guy who was less poor than the others. His hotel cost was 350,000 VND. Rafi added a few years to young Master Han and immediately shouted 450,000, wondering what background that person had that he dared to jump in and compete with him. Before he could think of it, Rafi shouted 500,000, which is the highest number ever and 10 times higher than other items. This equipment is not that expensive. This is definitely for playing alone. I didn't bring it home to use. Young Master Han wants to have the feeling of joy and excitement when winning the pole. Other rich people imagine themselves as mountain climbers underneath the fierce waves roaring and forcing them to climb so high that they are already very close to the top. Young Master Han whispered the number 600,000. Rafi was following the radio and was about to raise his hand to shout 70 but was caught by Noyet and shook his head signaling him not to speak anymore. 600,000 the first time and 600,000 the second time become a knife. Young Master Han felt like he was floating on the top of the mountain, looking down at the waves below and laughing. I have won against you by 1,000 hours. Someone suddenly turned out to be Rafi. Is a completely different person. Even Fuang Heap was startled. The dream of standing at the top shattered like a bubble, making young Master Han startled. The player with number 1 was a fragile-looking girl. Fuang quickly shouted 1,000 the first time, the second time, then the third time, but no one responded. The sound of the hammer hitting the sculpture was successful. A moment later, the two brothers, Tram Noyet, left the auction floor without saying a word, his face cold, while Rafi was so excited. In addition to the story of easily getting 1 million in his hands, he also found that making money is both easy and interesting. Tram Noyet added in a low voice that the number of 1 million was indeed an unplanned harvest. The total sale of this and that item was 1,520,000 yuan. After deducting the money to buy equipment, there was still 1,320,000 left. The number on the card used to identify the philanthropist has changed from 8988 to 7,450. He suddenly had an idea and asked his brother if this number meant that 7,450 other people were richer than him. It's good that you have money to spend. Noyet Dek cares about who is richer than him. He told his younger brother to hurry up and go do the main mission. It's been too long since you started fighting. When you listen to your older brother, leave immediately. Neither of them knew that Tu Bok was standing on a nearby roof, silently looking down and watching.